Something happened this morning in your yard. You may have noticed it. You almost certainly didn't read it. The feeder was full at 7. By 7:45, every bird was gone. Not fewer. Gone! The sparrows that work the ground beneath the feeder. The chickadee that comes back every 11 minutes, almost exactly. The mourning dove that sits on the same fence post every morning like it owns the place. All of them gone. You looked out the window, saw nothing unusual, assumed they'd be back, and went on with your morning. They were back 20 minutes later. You never thought about it again. Here is what you missed. Those birds did not leave because they got bored. They did not scatter randomly. They left because a signal moved through your yard, a specific, structured, information-dense signal. And every bird in that network received it, decoded it, and responded to it correctly in under 2 seconds while you were pouring coffee. That signal has a source. It has a grammar. It has a meaning that is recoverable if you know what to listen for. And it has been running in your yard every single morning, whether you are outside or not, whether you are paying attention or not, for as long as birds have been living in your neighborhood. Most people spend years watching birds without realizing they are watching a communication system. They see the behavior. They miss the broadcast. They notice the silence. They don't read it. They watch the feeder empty in 2 seconds and think, something spooked them. And they stop there. Right at the edge of the most sophisticated early warning network operating in your immediate environment. What if everything your birds do, every call, every silence, every sudden departure, is a message? Not metaphorically, literally. And you have been the only one in your yard who doesn't know how to read it. Your yard is not a collection of birds. It is a node in a network. Every bird on your property is simultaneously doing 3 things at once. It is gathering information from its immediate environment. It is processing that information against everything it already knows about your specific yard, your specific trees, your specific feeders, the specific humans and animals that move through regularly. And it is broadcasting that information in real time to every other bird within earshot, not just other birds of the same species, every species. The chickadee's alarm is understood by the nuthatch. The nuthatch's response is read by the junco. The junco's movement is registered by the sparrow on the ground 12 feet away. The whole network updates in less time than it takes you to turn your head. Researchers call this heterospecific eavesdropping, the deliberate monitoring of another species' signals to extract environmental information. It is not accidental. It is not coincidental. It is a system. And it has been running in your yard for longer than your house has existed. The chickadee is the most studied node in that system. In 2005, Christopher Templeton and his team published a study in Science, not a wildlife journal, Science, after recording over 5,000 chickadee alarm calls in response to 15 different live predators. What they found changed how researchers think about animal communication entirely. The chickadee does not produce one alarm call. It produces a family of calls with internal structure, calls that encode specific information about the threat. What kind, what size, what capability, and implicitly what the appropriate response is. The number of D notes at the end of the chickadee DD call is not filler. It is not noise. It is data. A pygmy owl, small, fast, capable of following a bird into dense cover, triggers the highest D count recorded, up to 23 notes. Because the pygmy owl is the most dangerous predator a chickadee faces, a great horned owl gets fewer. Because the great horned owl is massive, Slow in dense vegetation, the correct response is not panic, it is organized mobbing. Go toward it, recruit the neighborhood, drive it out. The call tells every bird within earshot, not just that a predator is present, it tells them what to do about it. Your yard has been broadcasting that information every time a hawk crosses the property line. You just didn't know the language. There is another voice in your yard's network, one you have heard thousands of times, one you have almost certainly misread every single time, the blue jay. When a jay screams, that descending, piercing call that cuts through everything, every bird in your yard goes silent within approximately 2 seconds. No hesitation, no verification, unconditional response. The jay has earned that trust. Its detection record is nearly perfect. Its alarm travels farther than almost any other backyard bird. When the jay calls, the network listens first and asks questions later, because in 50 million years of this system running, the cost of ignoring a jay alarm has always been higher than the cost of responding to a false one. But here's what most people never find out about the blue jay. It mimics red-tailed hawks and Cooper's hawks almost perfectly. For years, researchers assumed this was incidental, a bird producing hawk-like sounds by accident or for reasons that weren't fully understood. The current behavioral interpretation is more interesting. Blue jays use hawk mimicry to clear competitors from feeders. The jay calls in the hawk voice. Every bird in the yard flushes, the feeder empties in under 2 seconds, and the jay moves in alone. You have almost certainly watched this happen without knowing what you were seeing. The feeder suddenly empty. Nothing in the sky. No hawk visible anywhere, and the jay already sitting on the perch, completely calm, eating undisturbed. That was not coincidence. The information network in your yard runs honest signals the overwhelming majority of the time. The system depends on accuracy. A network full of false alarms collapses. Every member stops responding, and the next real threat goes undetected. But inside that system, at least one species has learned to exploit the trust it took millions of years to build. And the chickadees, the sparrows, the finches downstream of that signal, they have no reliable mechanism to verify the source before responding. The network is sophisticated. It is also vulnerable, which means the silence you are watching from your kitchen window is not always what it appears to be. Sometimes it is a warning. Sometimes it is a lie. And the difference between those two things is readable, once you know what to look for. Let's go back to that silence, the one from this morning. You saw it. You dismissed it. But now you know there are different kinds of silence, and they are not the same thing, and they do not mean the same thing, and the difference between them is learnable. A flying raptor produces the most complete silence. The chickadee's seat call, thin, high-pitched, nearly impossible to locate by direction, moves through the network faster than the hawk moves through the air. By the time the hawk crosses your feeder, the birds have already been gone for 3 seconds. The hawk sees an empty yard. The system worked. The silence you witnessed was not absence. It was the network functioning exactly as designed. A perched predator produces something different entirely. Not silence, escalation. If you hear chickadee calls intensifying, gathering, building, small birds moving toward the same tree instead of away from it, there is almost certainly a perched owl or hawk in or near that tree right now. The birds are not fleeing. They are coordinating an eviction. Researchers have documented owls driven from perches by organized mobbing from birds a fraction of their size. The network does not only warn, it acts. A ground predator, a cat, a fox, a dog moving along the fence line produces a third pattern. Alarm calls from ground-level birds first. Robins, towhees, juncos. Then the cascade moves upward through the network, because the threat geometry is different. A ground predator cannot follow a bird into the air. The appropriate response is vertical, not frozen. And then there is the silence that has nothing to do with predators at all. The disturbance, silence. Something unfamiliar entered the yard, a new object, a sudden movement, a sound outside the established pattern. The network goes quiet while it processes. This is not fear, this is attention. The birds gathering data before deciding how to categorize what they detected. You moving suddenly at the kitchen window produces this silence, a car door, your neighbor's lawnmower starting. All of it triggers a brief network pause while the system updates its assessment of what just changed. The difference between predator silence and disturbance. Silence is readable from one variable alone. Duration. Predator silence holds. The network waits for confirmation the threat has cleared before resuming. Disturbance, silence resolves within 30 to 60 seconds. Pay attention to how long the quiet lasts. That single detail tells you which kind of silence you are standing inside. Now expand the scale one more time, because the network in your yard does not stop at your property line, and it does not stop at dusk. On peak migration nights, late April, May, September, October, the sky above your house fills with birds moving at altitudes between 1,000 and 3,000 feet, calling to each other in complete darkness to maintain flock cohesion. Species-specific calls, brief, high-pitched, recoverable with a recording device placed in your yard on a clear night. On September 18, 2023, Birdcast estimated over 400 million birds in flight across the eastern United States in a single night. 400 million. Above houses exactly like yours. And when those birds descend at dawn, exhausted, fuel-depleted, needing cover, they drop into the first available habitat. Your yard may be that habitat. On certain mornings in May, the birds moving through your hedges are not your local birds. They are visitors from hundreds of miles south, carrying alarm calls calibrated to completely different environments, suddenly integrated into your yard's network for a few hours before continuing north. On those mornings, your yard's information system is running with unfamiliar voices. Your chickadees encounter dialects and signals they have never processed. The network adapts. By noon, those birds are gone. But the morning had a texture unlike any other morning, and most people who walked outside into it had no idea what was moving through. Here is what to do tomorrow. Next time your feeder empties suddenly, do not look first. Listen, thin, high, almost inaudible. Aerial threat, something in the air. Freeze and locate. Chickadee calls escalating, small birds converging on a single tree. Perched predator, network mobilizing, find the tree. Robin alarm from ground level, cascade moving upward. Something moving along the ground within 30 meters of that bird right now. Do that for 2 weeks. Just listen before you look. You will start hearing things you have been filtering out for years. The soft contact calls between juncos that mean everything is settled. The sudden cessation of those calls that means something just changed. The difference between a yard running normally and a yard running on alert. Your yard has been talking the entire time. The vocabulary is learnable. It requires attention more than knowledge. And once you hear it, really hear it, you will not be able to unhear it. If this changed how you see your yard, subscribe. There is a great deal more your birds have been trying to tell you.